Welcome to episode 3 of That Xbox Show, where we'll be taking a look at this, and if you're good, a little bit of this.
People want to play games now.
So with Gears of War Judgement, we really wanted to take a step back and not just do another Gears, but actually expand the universe and do a lot of new things that we were unable to do before. So one of the first things we did was go and talk to the fans and say, what is it you want to see? Where do you want to go? Who do you want to be when you're playing this game? And the overwhelming feedback came back that Damon Baird was a fan favorite.
He was an interesting character. He was actually kind of divisive. Like, most players really like him, but there were a couple that are like, man, that guy's just an asshole. But to me, that means he's interesting. That means that there's a real story there to tell. We haven't really told his story before, right? It's you know who Marcus is by this point. Cole, you get to visit his hometown and sort of see his background. Dom, and his relationship with his wife was very well established. But Baird, it was kind of a blank slate. So this was our chance to sort of introduce players to who he is and how he got to be who he is in the later Gears games.
We crafted the story around Baird's experiences on trial, where he's going before a military tribunal accused of war crimes, and when he starts to testify, you then step in as the player and get to play through that testimony and experience it for yourself. And what it does is, from a story perspective, it gives you a really nice chance to say, this is kind of what we did that we weren't supposed to, this is how we bent the rules, and this is how we ended up on trial. And from a gameplay perspective, there are dozens of different ways that you can change the story along the way. Each chapter has a different declassified section, from changing the weapons, to changing the enemies, to changing the environmental conditions, on, just all sorts of stuff. And what really starts to get interesting is that they're available to you as the player, so you can choose whether or not you want to add this additional layer of challenge, choose when you want to change the story. When we went to go approach the multiplayer for Gears of War Judgement, we really took a step back and said, how can we make this better? And we tore it down to its roots and really redesigned it from the ground up. We have an entirely new streamlined control scheme that anybody who's familiar with first or third person shooters should be able to pick up and grasp immediately. We still have our traditional team deathmatch modes and things like that, but we also introduced a brand new mode, a free-for-all mode, where anybody can go online and just immediately start having fun. No objectives, no rules, just go, right? And then we also introduced a brand new mode called Overrun, which pits the Locust monsters against specific classes of cop soldier. And so we looked at a lot of different games. We looked at MOBA-style games, RTSs, RPGs, and we took different elements from each of them and kind of layered them into that really kind of solid Gears combat loop, and came up with something really unique to the Gears franchise and something really special. One of the reasons we wanted to go and speak with PCF was that they had experience with Gears. They worked on Gears of War for Windows, they worked on Gears 2, they did DLC for Gears 3, so that they knew the universe, they cared about it. And rather than go to an outside company and contract someone, we wanted to keep it in the family. And the guys over at PCF have a very particular style. That really just kind of crazy, over-the-top combat stuff that really just works in the Gears universe. Waylon's always saying we're constantly trying to one-up one another in design meetings and who can come up with the craziest new idea. But the personality types and the style really meshed well and fit, so we ended up with a game that, while it's fresh and new and still has that kind of intense feeling that the Gears universe is known for.
When you meet someone for the first time and you bring up the topic of video games, you'll usually get one of three responses. The most common one is this. So, do you ever play any video games?
Oh, no, sorry, I'm not really into computer games.
Fair enough, not everyone has to like them. Now, if you're lucky, you might get this. So, do you ever play any video games?
Oh man, yeah, I'm a big Halo fan. Just played the last episode of Spartan Ops at the weekend.
And there we go. We've now got a common interest to talk about, and the fact that he's playing Halo tells me he's into the same games as me. But sometimes, if you're really unlucky, you'll get this guy. So, do you play any video games?
Yeah, I actually got to play the Xbox 720 quite recently. Do you know they actually designed the Xbox 720 before they designed the original Xbox? Let alone the Xbox 360, but they just decided to wait until now to release. And I was actually rated one of the top 5 players for Gears of War in Europe, but I decided to stop playing because, I mean, what's the point in playing if there's no one better than you? And, like, the whole series really just went downhill after hour 1 of the first game.
There's always a degree of trepidation when you hear that a series is being rebooted. Fans wearily discuss every small change, dissect every screenshot, trailer and interview, hoping to better understand what's to become of their beloved game. And Tomb Raider got off to a somewhat shaky start, with both a dramatic change in style unsettling series regulars and some unfortunate comments from the developers causing an industry-wide discussion over the representation of women. But after having played the game, it seems to have been a big fuss over nothing. This is not only the best Tomb Raider game in years, but one of the best action-adventure games of this generation. There's a complete believability to the characterisation that Crystal Dynamics and main writer Rhianna Pratchett have employed throughout the story. The initial fears that Lara would be presented as a cornered animal that players would want to protect vanish immediately as she fights her way through what becomes a very large body count. That's not to say the character never shows moments of self-doubt or struggles with the task presented to her, but she's never shown to be weak, and she grows throughout the story, eventually accepting who she needs to be to survive. On the whole, the acting is very good, if at times a little ham-fisted, and the supporting characters play their parts well, despite having been written into a few tired stereotypes.
Oh, don't do this to me, you northern bastard!
The threat presented to Lara throughout her journey feels very real, with both the enemies and the island setting providing an oppressive atmosphere to react against. The story is nearly always enjoyable, and even as the extreme level of violence which Lara goes through begins to make you feel uncomfortable, the path of her survival remains completely engaging. Visually, the game presents the player with some of the most atmospheric and stunning locations to be found in any game of this generation. There's an incredible attention to detail in both a large and small scale, and environmental weather effects and lighting really set this game apart. In-game animations are diverse and satisfying, with only the facial animations of the supporting characters proving to be a low point. The game will direct your attention to some of the grander spectacles on offer, but you'll often find yourself admiring the smaller details of shanty towns, shipwrecks, and the muddy and bruised appearance of Lara herself. Despite the spectacular QTE-filled set pieces featuring prominently in the game's pre-release material, you'll find that there's actually a lot of substance to the way you play the game. There's a strong emphasis on combat, however stealth play is nearly always an option, with the game only occasionally forcing you into full-on gunfights. The game falls in line with many other third-person action games by featuring timed counter-attacks and stealth takedowns, which are unlocked as the game progresses. This works well to reinforce that Lara is growing as a character, becoming more powerful and determined in her quest to save her friends.
Thank God he's still alive.
Lara can upgrade her gear and abilities by collecting salvage material from the environment and from looting dead bodies. You'll also gain experience points by performing stylish kills and completing certain tasks, like finding hidden collectibles. It's a system that works well, and you'll find yourself upgrading Lara's abilities in perfect harmony with the increasing difficulty level of the game's enemies. Some of the collectibles seem a little extraneous, however finding them isn't really essential to making it through the main campaign. Like traditional Tomb Raider games, there's a lot of platforming, and the team at Crystal Dynamics seems to have taken cues from the Uncharted series, making moving through the environments both intuitive and exciting. What may come as a slight disappointment to some is the almost complete lack of major puzzle solving in the main storyline. The more traditional puzzles are ironically hidden away inside the depths of tombs, waiting to be discovered. These pose some occasional head scratchers, but nothing too complex. However, those who do venture off the track to complete these puzzles will be rewarded with additional skill points. Some will see this as a step too far away from what made Tomb Raider games unique. However, putting the puzzles to one side helps to keep the main story flowing nicely. Overall, it's very hard to criticise the effort that's been put into making this Tomb Raider game. It grounds itself in reality with well-realised characters, it looks amazing, and it revolves around a core combat mechanic that's incredibly fun to play. And the fact that we're saying this about a Tomb Raider game at all should be viewed as a massive accomplishment.
Shit.
Exactly.
My name's Larry Hyrb, Xbox Live's Major Nelson. Most people know me as my gamer tag of Major Nelson, and I work on the Xbox team. 76 million consoles around the world is a tremendous feat. We had aspirations back in 2005 when we launched the Xbox 360, we wanted to get to 100 million. So the fact that we're basically more than 3/4 of the way there is really great. Certainly the hardcore gamers, what people consider to be the hardcore gamers, are happy with what we've done in terms of the games and the gaming experiences, but there's a lot more left to do. Without a doubt, it's been this continued success of the Xbox 360. I remember when we launched it in North America on November 22nd, 2005. I'll never forget the date. And we were so excited because, later on that month, and then of course into the December of 2005, we sold 10,000, and then 100,000. And then, oh my God, we sold 200,000. And I'll never forget the first million. And so it was so exciting, those moments. And to see the success that we've had with the console and how well things that we really, really worked hard to develop, like achievements in Gamer Score and Xbox Live and cross-game chat and the party mode and all of these things, that's what I'm excited about, and that's what I'm most proud of. It's just the continued success that our features have brought gamers around the world. I think that the challenge has been providing information amongst the sea of misinformation. Gamers are highly social, and they like to chatter a lot and highly technical, so we're using a lot of these technical tools to communicate, and sometimes there's a lot of misinformation floating out there, and I try to, when I can, straighten some people out and just say, hey, actually, that's not right, this is right, and try to show them the way. But sometimes people just want to talk what they want to talk about and believe and will things into existence. People were now consuming digital content, music and movies in various ways, and we realized that the Xbox 360 was a perfect companion to provide those experiences when we hook things up like Sky over in the UK or Netflix here in the US or Love Film. We just thought, wait a minute, this console's really powerful. It produces great games and they're beautiful and they're providing great game experiences. Can we also make it do other things? So I would be foolish to say that we knew exactly what we were doing, but we certainly realized and evaluated as we went along year over year, like, hey, wait a minute, we can do this. Or wait a minute, yeah, that's a great idea, let's do that. What excites me about the future is this industry and how it's maturing. I remember when I joined the industry almost 10 years ago, and they had, we were just trying to figure out what does this gaming thing mean and how does it work. Now games are so mainstream, we're going to see better storytelling, certainly better graphics. That happens every year on the PC side. But as game developers hone their craft better and better, and we have those moments, those emotional moments that you can't get anywhere else. People want to play games now. They don't want to play games, they certainly want to play games in a year, but they don't want to really think about that right now because they want those experiences right now. So while it's great that there's tremendous excitement around, people always want new more, the question is, is it time? And we're going to make the move when it's the right time. I can tell you this, we have been planning for it for months. I don't really talk about it that much publicly, but I'll give you a little clue. My very first E3 meeting for 2013 took place in November. That's where we start planning. That's how early we start planning on it. So there's a lot going on, and there's a lot that changes, but you'll have to tune in June to find out more details. Multiplayer. Marvel. Controller. Neither. Open world. Star Wars.